Dear students, myself is Samanto Kumar Bora from Kamabanda Junior College, Golaghat. Today I am going to discuss the lesson Albert Einstein at School by Patrick Pingle, which is required in SS first year English syllabus. Dear students, you will find this particular lesson in your supplementary reader, namely Snapshot. I'll teach the lesson in both English and Assamese so that each and every student can easily understand the lesson. I'll divide my teaching into 5 different parts. First part is all about the author. Second part, significance of the title. Third, introduction to the lesson. Fourth, content of the lesson. And last but not the least is the conclusion part. Now let me give you a very brief introduction of the author. Patrick Pingle was a great American writer, photographer, wildlife biologist, and an educator. He is a professor emeritus of art science at Trentele College, Washington. Now let me come to the second part of the discussion, that is the significance of the title. Without understanding the significance of the title, you won't be able to understand the content of the lesson. The title itself clearly suggests that it is all about a person, namely Albert Einstein, and the days he spent at school. Now, dear students, obviously you will ask me a question. Who is Albert Einstein? Let me tell you, Albert Einstein is a great scientist who was born in Germany in the year 1879. He is widely acknowledged as one of the greatest physicists of all time. He is popularly known for developing the theory of relativity. যিটো অসমীয়াত আমি আপেক্ষিকতাবাদৰ সূত্ৰ বুলি কওঁ. As the title suggests, the lesson doesn't deal with the scientific achievements of this great man. Rather, it simply deals with the school days of Einstein in Germany. However, you'll find a glimpse of scientific temperament on the part of this man in the lesson itself. The lesson Albert Einstein at School is an extract taken from the biography The Young Einstein by Patrick Pingle. Here he describes how Einstein was struggling each day in the German school as he didn't have any trust on an education system which was imposed on him forcibly. It is why the title is given like this, Albert Einstein at School. তোমালোকৰ সুবিধাৰ কাৰণে এইখিনিকে মই সমেত কৈ দিছোঁ। মৰমৰ ছাত্ৰ-ছাত্ৰীসকল, কোনো এটা পাঠৰ মূল বিষয়বস্তুলৈ যোৱাৰ আগতে সেই পাঠটোৰ নামৰ অৰ্থ আৰু তাৎপৰ্য জানি লোৱাটো তোমালোকৰ কাৰণে অত্যন্ত প্ৰয়োজনীয়। তেতিয়াহে তোমালোকে পাঠটোৰ ভিতৰত কি আছে সেই কথাখিনি সহজে বুজিব পাৰিবা। পাঠটোৰ নামলৈ যদি লক্ষ্য কৰা, তেতিয়া তোমালোকে সহজে বুজিব পাৰিবা যে পাঠটিত এলবাৰ্ট আইনষ্টাইন নামৰ বিশ্ববিখ্যাত বিজ্ঞানীজনৰ বিষয়ে আলোচনা কৰা হৈছে, যিজন বিজ্ঞানীয়ে আপেক্ষিকতাবাদৰ দৰে সূত্ৰৰ উদ্ভাৱন কৰিছিল। অৱশ্যে পাঠটিত তোমালোকে আইনষ্টাইনে আৱিষ্কাৰ কৰা পদাৰ্থবিজ্ঞানৰ সূত্ৰসমূহৰ বিষয়ে পঢ়িবলৈ নাপাবা, কিয়নো এই পাঠটিত কেৱল এজন স্কুলীয়া ছাত্ৰ হিচাপে সেই সময়ৰ শিক্ষা ব্যৱস্থাটোৰ প্ৰতি তেওঁৰ কেনেধৰণৰ দৃষ্টিভংগী আছিল তাৰ ওপৰতহে আলোকপাত কৰা হৈছে। লেখকে অতি সুন্দৰভাৱে দাঙি ধৰিছে যে কেনেদৰে সেই বিদ্যালয়ত পাৰ কৰা প্ৰতিটো দিনেই আইনষ্টাইনৰ কাৰণে অসহ্যকৰ আৰু দুৰ্বিহ হৈ পৰিছিল। নিজৰ ইচ্ছাৰ বিপৰীতে আনে বলপূৰ্বকভাৱে জাপি দিয়া শিক্ষা ব্যৱস্থা এটাৰ মাজত আবদ্ধ হৈ আইনষ্টাইনে কোনোদিনেই নিজকে সুখী অনুভৱ কৰিব পৰা নাছিল। Now let me come to the second part of the discussion, that is a brief introduction to the lesson. Right from his school days, Albert Einstein was greatly interested in science subjects. He was not at all interested in any other subject except science. During his school days, he was considered to be a dull student. He didn't like his school and the subjects taught there. He considered it useless. to study subjects other than those related to science. His history teacher was often in conflict with him, as Einstein didn't like the history subject. Only the mathematics teacher liked him a lot. He got fed up with his school and at last devised a plan to remain away from school. With the help of his friend Yuri, he managed to get a false medical certificate showing that he was suffering from nervous breakdown. At last, the school authorities expelled him from school. বিদ্যালয়ৰ দিনৰ পৰাই এলবাৰ্ট আইনষ্টাইন বিজ্ঞানৰ বিষয়সমূহৰ প্ৰতি অধিক আগ্ৰহী আছিল। তোমালোকে যেনেদৰে বিদ্যালয়ত পঢ়ি থাকোঁতে প্ৰত্যেকটো বিষয়ে সমানে ভাল পোৱা নাছিলা, তেনেকৈ আইনষ্টাইনেও বিজ্ঞানৰ বাহিৰে আন বিষয়সমূহ অলপো ভাল নাপাইছিল। তেনে বিষয়সমূহ অধ্যয়ন কৰাটো তেওঁ অৰ্থহীন বুলি গণ্য কৰিছিল। সেইবাবে হয়তো বিদ্যালয়ৰ বুৰঞ্জী শিক্ষকজনৰ সৈতে সঘনে তেওঁৰ মতানৈক্য ঘটিছিল। আইনষ্টাইন ইমানেই অতিষ্ঠ হৈ পৰিছিল যে যিকোনো উপায়েৰে তেওঁ সেই বিদ্যালয়খন এৰিব বিচাৰিছিল। শেষত আইনষ্টাইনে ঘনিষ্ঠ বন্ধু ইউৰিৰ সহায় লৈ এজন ডক্টৰৰ পৰা নাৰ্ভৰ সমস্যাজনিত ৰোগৰ এখন ভুৱা মেডিকেল চাৰ্টিফিকেট উলিয়াই বিদ্যালয়লৈ নোযোৱাৰ পথ প্ৰশস্ত কৰে। কিন্তু সেই একে সময়তে বিদ্যালয়ৰ প্ৰধান শিক্ষকে নিয়মানুৱৰ্তিতা ভংগৰ অপৰাধত বিদ্যালয়ৰ পৰা আইনষ্টাইনক বহিষ্কাৰ কৰে। Now let me come to the third part of the lesson, that is the content part. The lesson starts with a question. In what year did the Prussians defeat the French at Waterloo? This question was asked by the history teacher of the school. Einstein simply answered that he didn't have any idea about that. He further told the teacher that he was not at all interested in learning dates, as anyone would easily find them in books. He said that he could never think learning facts could be education. According to him, students should try their best to learn ideas or logic behind something, but not facts. The history teacher got extremely angry with him and threatened him to put a complaint against him. Besides the school environment, Einstein also did not like the slum area in Munich where he was living. He hated the slum violence. Once Albert's cousin also came to Munich, she suggested him to take the diploma as soon as possible. But Einstein answered that he was not good enough in parrot learning. He had only interest in books on science. Albert had a very good friend, namely Yuri, and with the help of Yuri, Einstein visited a doctor, namely Dr. Ernst. That doctor ultimately gave Einstein a false certificate of nervous breakdown so that he could remain away from the school. He then approached Mr. Coase, the mathematics teacher, for a reference in writing. Mr. Coase provided him a reference which clearly mentioned that Albert was talented enough to enter a college or institute for the study of higher mathematics. In the meantime, there was another interesting thing to happen. The school authority got extremely offended with Einstein, and ultimately he was expelled from the school. This is what actually Albert inwardly wanted. He left the school where he had to spend 5 miserable years. গতিকে বুৰঞ্জীৰ শিক্ষকজনে যেতিয়া আইনষ্টাইনক ৱাটাৰলু যুদ্ধ কেতিয়া হৈছিল সেই কথাটো সুধিছিল, আইনষ্টাইনে পোনপটীয়াকৈ উত্তৰ দিছিল যে সেই বিষয়ে তেওঁৰ একো জ্ঞান নাই। কাৰণ আইনষ্টাইনে চন বা তাৰিখ মনত ৰখাটো কেতিয়াও শিক্ষা বুলি ভবা নাছিল। তেওঁৰ মতে যুদ্ধখন কেতিয়া হৈছিল ডাঙৰ কথা নহয়, কিন্তু সেই যুদ্ধখন কিয় হৈছিল বা কিয় বহুতো সৈনিকে নিজৰ প্ৰাণ হেৰুৱাব লগা হৈছিল সেই যুদ্ধত, সেইটোহে ডাঙৰ কথা। সেইবিলাক বিশ্লেষণ কৰাটোহে আচলতে তেওঁৰ কাৰণে প্ৰকৃত শিক্ষা। ডেট বা তাৰিখ মনত ৰাখি কেৱল শিক্ষকৰ বাহবা লোৱাটো তেওঁৰ মতে কেতিয়াও প্ৰকৃত শিক্ষা হ'ব নোৱাৰে। সেইবাবে সঘনেই শিক্ষকসকলৰ লগত আইনষ্টাইনৰ সংঘাত হৈছিল আৰু তোমালোকে গম পাইছা যে শেষত আইনষ্টাইনক সেই বিদ্যালয়ৰ পৰা নিয়মানুৱৰ্তিতাৰ ভংগৰ অপৰাধত উলিয়াই দিয়া হৈছিল। আৰু প্ৰকৃততে আইনষ্টাইনেও সেইটো বিচাৰিছিল, সেইকাৰণে আচলতে তেওঁ ইউৰিৰ সহায়ত সেই ডক্টৰজনৰ কাষ চাপিছিল। নাও লেট মি মুভ অন টু দ্য last part of my discussion, that is the conclusion part. It is not that the lesson simply reflects upon the faulty system of Albert Einstein's time, but at the same time, it draws some comparisons to the present school system as well. Sometimes school system really curbs individual talents, as it doesn't give required attention to individual differences and their different choices or interest of life. Rather, it encourages an unhealthy competition among the students for getting more and more marks in exam. But this shouldn't happen at all, because if we give more and more importance on marks or exam only, then the real talents like Einstein cannot be produced by the school system. It will be fruitful only when the individual interest and differences of the students are always kept in mind while giving them a proper education. So that's all for today. Hopefully all of you have got the things. In my next video, if I make any, then obviously I'll discuss the question answers of this particular language, of this particular lesson rather. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.